Have you ever picked up an old American quarter and wondered if it could be worth more than just 25 cents? Some coins that look completely ordinary actually hide stories of history, rarity, and incredible value. Today, we're talking about one such fascinating coin, the 1970 United States quarter dollar. At first glance, it may look like just another regular coin you'd find in your change, but this quarter carries a history that makes it stand out among collectors. From its design and minting to a surprising rare era that turned a few of them into coins worth thousands of dollars, this is one story you don't want to miss. In 1965, the United States Mint introduced a coin that would mark a turning point in American numismatic history, the Washington quarter dollar. This was no ordinary coin. It represented the end of an era, the beginning of a new age in American coinage, and it carries a story that still fascinates collectors around the world. The 1965 Washington quarter is one of the most talked about coins in U.S. history, not because of its rarity in numbers, but because of its historical significance and the changes it brought to American currency. Let's dive into its story. To understand the 1965 quarter, we have to go back a few years earlier. Before 1965, quarters were made of 90% silver and 10% copper. But in the early 1960s, the United States faced a serious silver shortage. The rising price of silver caused people to start hoarding coins, especially dimes, quarters, and half dollars, which contained real silver. These coins were literally worth more in melt value than their face value. Because of this, coins started disappearing from circulation. People were saving them, melting them, and even exporting them. The U.S. Mint found itself unable to keep up with the demand for new coins. This led to a historic decision in 1965, to remove silver from the quarter and replace it with a new composition. So, the 1965 Washington quarter became the first clad quarter ever produced. Instead of being made of silver, it was made with a copper-nickel outer layer bonded to a pure copper core. The result was a coin that had a silvery look but no real silver in it. The official composition was 91.67% copper and 8.33% nickel, with a total weight of 5.67 grams. The diameter remained the same at 24.3 millimeters, and the edge was reeded, just like the older silver versions. On the obverse side, or the front, of the coin, you'll find the classic portrait of George Washington, the first President of the United States. This portrait was designed by John Flanagan, based on a 1786 bust by sculptor Jean-Antoine Houdon. The word "Liberty" appears at the top, with the motto, "In God We Trust," to the left, and the year 1965 inscribed at the bottom. The reverse side features the American bald eagle perched on a bundle of arrows, symbolizing strength and readiness to defend the nation. Beneath the eagle are two olive branches representing peace. The inscriptions, "United States of America, E Pluribus Unum," and "Quarter Dollar," complete the design. Interestingly, 1965 quarters were not given a mint mark, even if they were produced at different facilities like Philadelphia or Denver. This was done intentionally by the U.S. Mint to discourage coin hoarding during the transition from silver to clad coinage. Now, here's where things get even more fascinating. Some 1965 quarters are known to have been accidentally struck on 90% silver planchets, leftover silver blanks from 1964. These rare transitional error coins are worth a fortune today. A genuine 1965 silver quarter can be identified by weighing it. The standard clad quarter weighs 5.67 grams, while the older silver quarters weigh 6.25 grams. If a 1965 quarter weighs around 6.25 grams, there's a high chance it's a rare silver transitional error, and collectors are willing to pay thousands of dollars for such pieces. In fact, one of these error coins once sold for over $7,000 at auction. Some rare examples in mint condition have fetched even higher prices, depending on their condition and authenticity. However, most 1965 quarters are common and widely available. The U.S. Mint struck over 1.8 billion quarters that year, an incredibly high mintage. Because of that, circulated coins usually hold only their face value, 25 cents, but collectors still value this coin for what it represents, the turning point in U.S. coinage from silver to clad. It marks the end of the silver era and the beginning of modern coins as we know them today. Now let's talk about the value. For a regular circulated 1965 Washington quarter, the value is typically between 25 cents and $1, depending on condition. An uncirculated example, one that has never been used, might be worth between $3 and $10. Proof versions or special mint sets from 1965 can be worth more, especially if they are in perfect condition or graded by a reputable service like PCGS or NGC, but the real treasure, as mentioned earlier, lies in those rare silver transitional errors. If you find one that's mistakenly struck on a silver planchet, its value can range from $5,000 to $10,000 or more, depending on its preservation. Here's an interesting fact: 1,965 quarters were also minted during a time when the mint was struggling to catch up with public demand. To avoid more hoarding, the mint stopped putting mint marks on all coins between 1965 and 1967. This means that even coins minted in Denver or San Francisco during those years cannot be distinguished by mark, adding a bit of mystery for collectors today. Another notable feature is the coin's durability. The copper-nickel composition proved to be much more resistant to wear than silver, which is one of the reasons the mint continued using it for decades. The same composition is still used today in U.S. quarters. For coin enthusiasts, the 1965 quarter is not just a piece of change, it's a historical artifact. It tells the story of economic challenges, resource management, and the evolution of American money. Every time you hold a 1965 quarter, you're holding a coin that changed how America made money forever. Collectors often keep these coins as part of their historical collections to represent the year when silver disappeared from regular U.S. coinage. It also stands as a symbol of technological progress and adaptation during a time of financial strain. So, if you ever come across a 1965 Washington quarter, take a closer look. Check its weight. Examine its shine. You might be holding an ordinary coin, or a hidden treasure worth thousands. Next coin. The 1970 United States $quarter coin is one of those fascinating pieces of American currency that holds both historical value and collectors' interest. This coin continues the long-running Washington quarter series, which began in 1932 to honor the first President of the United States, George Washington. By 1970, the Washington quarter had already become a familiar and trusted coin in everyday American life. It was used across the nation, from city stores to rural markets, and carried the proud image of leadership and liberty wherever it went. The obverse side of the 1970 quarter features the detailed portrait of George Washington, designed by John Flanagan. His face is strong and calm, symbolizing courage and the nation's founding spirit. Above his head, the word liberty appears boldly, while to the left of his neck are the words "In God We Trust," a reminder of the country's moral foundation. Beneath Washington's portrait is the date 1970, clearly showing the year it was minted. The reverse side of the coin shows a majestic bald eagle, the national bird of the United States, perched on a bundle of arrows with olive branches below. This design represents both strength and peace, arrows for defense and olive branches for harmony. Around the top are the words United States of America and E pluribus unum, meaning, out of many, one. At the bottom, it reads $quarter, which states its value. In 1970, the U.S. Mint produced quarters at two locations, the Philadelphia Mint and the San Francisco Mint. Coins from Philadelphia do not have a mint mark, while those from San Francisco carry an S mark just beside Washington's hairline. The Philadelphia coins were made for general circulation, while the San Francisco coins were special proof coins produced for collectors. These proof coins are easily recognized by their mirror-like finish and sharp, detailed designs. The 1970 quarter does not contain silver like the earlier quarters produced before 1965. Instead, it was made from a copper-nickel-clad composition, which means it has outer layers of 75% copper and 25% nickel bonded to a pure copper core. It weighs about 5.67 grams and measures 24.3 millimeters in diameter. Even though it lacks silver, it remains durable and beautifully crafted, reflecting the precision of the U.S. Mint. The 1970 quarter also carries an interesting secret known among collectors: the existence of a very rare minting error. One of the most valuable types is the 1970 S-proof quarter that was mistakenly struck on a 1941 Canadian quarter. This happened when leftover Canadian silver coins were used as planchets by accident. Because of this rare minting mistake, this coin shows traces of both the 1941 Canadian design and the 1970 U.S. design. Only a few of these coins are known to exist, and one sold for over $35,000 at auction, making it one of the most valuable modern quarters ever discovered. Other valuable varieties include coins with double die errors or off-center strikes, which can also attract strong collector interest and high prices. For most 1970 quarters, the value depends largely on their condition and mint mark. A regular 1970 Philadelphia quarter used in circulation is generally worth its face value of 25 cents. However, if it is in mint state condition, meaning it shows no wear and has a clean surface, it can be worth between $5 and $25. Proof coins from San Francisco are more collectible and can be worth between $2 and $10, depending on their quality. Proof coins with deep cameo contrast, where the raised design shines sharply against a mirrored background, can bring even higher prices. The rare error coins, such as the one struck on a Canadian planchet, can be worth thousands of dollars, making them treasures for serious coin collectors. The 1970 quarter may not look special at first glance, but its history and the possibility of hidden value make it a coin worth checking closely. When examining one, it's important to look for the mint mark, check its surface for unusual features, and note whether it has any proof-like shine. Sometimes the smallest difference, like a doubled letter or a faint outline of another coin beneath the design, can turn an ordinary quarter into a highly valuable collector's item. Although it belongs to the era of copper-nickel coins, the 1970 quarter still reflects a time of change in America. It was produced just 5 years after silver quarters were discontinued, marking the new modern era of U.S. coinage. Each coin carries a piece of the nation's heritage and the enduring image of George Washington, symbolizing honor, strength, and unity. Whether kept for its beauty, history, or the thrill of finding a rare variety, the 1970 quarter-dollar coin remains an important part of America's numismatic story. Many collectors continue to search for it today, hoping to uncover one of the rare versions that could be worth a small fortune. For anyone interested in coins, the 1970 United States quarter dollar is a reminder that sometimes the most ordinary-looking coins can hold the most extraordinary secrets.